I mean, I have a lot of people that ask me, what's my plan for the top of the bull market? Because they're used to nuclear winters, right? 4-year cycles. And um, like my plan is always in operation, which is to take money to cash consistently. So I have a because I don't believe in bull bear 4-year cycles and nuclear winters. I think we're just doing more of the same. This is the second time we've gone up and we've retraced more than 50%, and then we're going up, and they're just choppy. It's just choppy times, and so you don't want to be overexposed. You don't want to be all in. You don't want to be all in and then on leverage, because when it pulls back 50%, you're going to be freaking out. And there's a thing about freaking out is the most tragic thing about freaking out is not the pain of freaking out, but the loss of your IQ. When you're freaking out, you don't think straight, and you do the stupidest things like sell the absolute bottom, because now you've got to cover the pain you're under and the sleepless nights because you were overexposed.
Bitcoin is back in the races. The world's largest cryptocurrency has risen 6.4% over the last few days, surging to $44,350. It rose above its 50-day moving average for the first time in more than 2 months. While this is great news for all Bitcoin enthusiasts, Willy Woo, who is a popular on-chain analyst and co-founder of Hypersheet, has warned crypto holders to stop making rash investment decisions. Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Willy Woo discusses the current Bitcoin price, why it doesn't look like a bear market, the breaking of 4-year cycles, and how he's positioning his portfolio. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Let's dive right into the video. The on-chain analyst and Bitcoin advocate said that the high levels of fear in the Bitcoin market present an opportunity, as an upward retracement is likely. According to Woo, it's an opportunity to buy. You don't often get this kind of pullback without it relief bouncing even. Woo also says that demand for Bitcoin is returning as various investors resume buying. According to him, structurally, Bitcoin is very, very strong, and demand started to come back. And the holders, or longtime Bitcoin holders, that were slightly being dispirited by the futures traders selling down have stopped selling. They're rebounding now, and there's accumulation coming.
It keeps changing, right? We're in I think, a pretty crappy situation if you're like an old-timer Bitcoiner who's purist and, it's about, it's about freedom, liberty, cypherpunk, and it's like now it's becoming very, very financialized. We've had the ETFs, plural, multiple ETFs being released in the US, but they're not spot ETFs, they're futures ETFs. So they're back onto the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So the CMEs are already now getting huge volumes, and it's given these institutional traders a venue to trade on. Like, if it's risk off, wow, it's great to sell down on Bitcoin because it's almost a leverage trade on risk off, because it crashes when it's risk off. When it's risk on, it goes up, right?
Speaking about current Bitcoin price movement, Willy Woo thinks that this phase reminds him of mid-2019 to late 2020. Back in 2019 to 2020, if you looked on-chain at what the investors were doing, they were accumulating, but you just couldn't see any impact of the price because the price was really dictated by traders on the futures exchanges.
And it's this kind of funny phase where it kind of reminds me of mid 2019 to late 2020, where you remember where it was trading, it sort of pumped to 14,000 very quickly from our bottoms of 3 to 4, and then it sort of went sideways.
That was from Bitcoin 2019.
Yeah, 2019. It was just this euphoric sort of recovery from a 3,000 bottom, 3,500 bottom, and then in a very short, run of things. I think that was highly manipulated short squeezing that got it up there. And then we had a plus token sort of scam billions of dollars, and they were dumping all their ill-gotten gains onto the market. And so $100,000 150,000 Bitcoins were being dumped, maybe more. And so that marked the 14,000 top. And then we were in this sideways chop downwards from 14,000 to 10 to, down to 6.5. And then it went up again. And then we got a little bit euphoric. And then COVID happened and it flipped down. And then we got into this, the whole world changed and everyone went risk off for a while. We looked at gold as a safe haven. Bitcoin was being lambasted as a failed safe haven, and all it did was trade this correlation with equities. And, it was kind of like now, right? It's like in this trapped sideways band where it's just trading this correlation of risk on, risk off from macro traders looking at traditional stocks.
Willy Woo believes that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency holders are in a weird phase right now, as the market is restructuring and holders are starting to sell out. Wu suggested that the increasing influx of mainstream traders and rollout of Bitcoin futures markets over the past few years has significantly changed the market structure of Bitcoin, in which the price directly correlates to risk on, risk off from macro traders looking at traditional stocks.
And eventually the hodlers started selling down, ever so slightly. And it was quite different from what happened in May. In May, you could kind of predict it, right? You could see the hodlers were starting to dump. And those hodlers were a lot of those guys that were buying in, new hedge funds, institutional money, family offices. They were buying in from that breakout from 20,000 all the way up to 50 to 60,000. Like, there was a huge amount of buying that was underlyingly, spot buying, taking those coins off the exchanges, putting into cold storage for long-term investment. And it seems like a lot of those guys sold off and dumped in May. And you could see that coming. But here, very little people sold. It was a very gradual slide down on-chain demand, and yet the price was sliding and kept sliding, and it was led by the futures, which was different from what we normally see, which is the on-chain demand and supply tends to lead the price action. So it's one of these weird times. I'm kind of interested to see what the structure sort of looks like.
However, Willy Woo believes that the world's most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, isn't exhibiting a bear market setup, despite factors suggesting it is. Wu claims that key metrics such as a strong number of long-term Bitcoin holders and growing rates of accumulation suggest that the market has not flipped the switch to bear territory yet, although the fear factor is at its peak.
How long have they been sitting in these wallets? It goes through cycles, and these tight cycles where most of the coins have been sitting there for more than 5 months. It's a very strong setup, which is what we got now. It's at peak levels of these coins. The coins across all of the network have been sitting there, most of them, for more than 5 months. And people who do that, they've held on for 5 months. They're not selling. They're not selling at a loss. They will sell when there's profit to be had, and you'll see that whenever it breaks out of like all-time highs and does a really strong rally, those guys that have been holding for 5 months start to take the money, and they take cash that's available. They cash out, they take the profit, and eventually new guys that are coming in to buy the rally, they're the new guys, and they want to get rich too.
They're the bag holders.
And they're the bag holders. But what typically happens is it's very vulnerable to a bear market because some of them sell, right? They sell. Like the 2018 bear was at peak new guys holding the coins. And the cycle repeats. Those new guys either sell, or the ones that don't become hardened hodlers, and they sell on the next rally when it goes even higher. So it's just like old hands are out, new hands become old hands, and it's back and forth. And we're in an old hand situation. We went rallying from 30,000 to 69, and we did see a little bit of sell down from those 5-month old holders, and they took some profit. And then as it sort of crashed down, let's say slide, it wasn't a crash, it was slid down. They, lo and behold, around about 40,000 low 40s. They just stopped selling. They've stopped selling for actually a number of weeks now, and actually they're now, like, you could say they're accumulating, or in other words, some of the new guys have sort of aged to the 5 month zone and they're becoming old hands. So those guys, as an equilibrium, that cohort is now gaining, and so it's actually strengthening again. So it's not structurally on chain, it's not a bear market setup, even though I would say we're at peak fear, like, no doubt about it. People are really scared, which typically is a time to, like, it's an opportunity to buy.
Willy also argued that a key indicator for bear markets is usually when noobs or new coin holders are in the majority. The 2018 bear was at peak new guys holding the coins, and the cycle repeats. Those guys either sell, or the ones that don't become hardened holders and they sell on the next rally when it goes even higher. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Do you agree with Willy Woo that we are not in a bear market? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.